Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to be with you another week while we talk about the league. I am Justin, the support for Northern Storm, and I'm joined today, as what will be always, by Prowler 222 and Arcane Soda. Gentlemen, how we doing this evening?
Doing pretty good after win on Sunday.
Yeah, we had some pretty good matchups ourselves, so I'm feeling pretty good too.
I'm still trying to get the energy back from my game one versus Blitzkrieg. GG's to them again. Uh, Guys, we got a great show for everyone. We just want to start this out with reminding everyone of one of our sponsors, Old Host. With Old Host, you can support the LCUS by signing with Old Host, where you can build your own website. Go to www.oldhost.net and click Promotions for details. For every sign up using the coupon code LCUS, 100% of all profits will be donated back to us. This is a limited time offer, so go sign up today and help support the LCUS. So, gentlemen, what happened this this past week? We had our awesome week one. Some of the outcomes we expected, some of them we didn't. So, what's up?
I think the coin was fairly accurate, despite having some pretty boring predictions. So that was interesting to see. The coin was just as accurate as our expert.
Yeah, across the board, we all had that 2 out of 3 correct predictions for all the matchups. That was pretty interesting to see. Notable mis mispredicts were Alex. You had predicted that Team Phoenix would beat you 2-0, but on the contrary, it was a rather convincing win for you guys over Team Phoenix. Do you want to try to run us through a little bit about that, or?
Yeah, I think Phoenix is the more talented team. We just came ready to play. We clearly practiced more than Phoenix had. And I think you saw that early on it was kind of even, and then as the game became focused around, reliance, they went by the wayside a little more.
You're cutting out us on us a little. I will say one, it is pretty funny when you beat a team in the commanding way that y'all did. Um, to say they were more talented. Um, I might agree with you just on numbers, but it's just a funny turn of phrase. Uh, though I would agree it was close, these games were never close for long. The game exploded at 12 minutes in, uh, where it was 7-7 at 12 minutes, and then you gave option 12 gave Phoenix nothing till the end of that game. It was just constant climbing from option 12.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things you got to worry about with option 12 is just historically as a team they've been able to have really good objective control throughout the later stages of their game. So that's kind of how they, if they don't beat you early, that's how they get their grasp on the game and just take it from you.
So what about this White Wolf Gaming non-live set? It looked like the Nebulon and Brandana show, featuring the 8 wards. I remember this point in the bot lane where Nebulon went back in after a stupid 45-second team fight. After not stupid isn't bad, but stupid isn't what is happening. Goes back in for a Nami kill. It just he wouldn't relent, and neither would Brandana. He got a quadra that same game, didn't he?
Uh, I'd have to go back and check again, but I believe Brandana did get a quadra that game.
Got a
Um,
quadra on the blue buff side jungle there at the towards the end.
Yeah, it was just a stupid, just power show from them. Now, it was 1-1, but, I mean, still, that was pretty amazing to watch.
I think the big thing you saw too is you saw Brandano's ability to take over the game, but that first game where you're kind of shaking off the rust, White Wolf was far and away the better team in that first one. The NKD was 23-2. You just don't see domination like that in a lot of the LCUS games where skill is distributed so evenly. So that was really interesting to see White Wolf prevail so heavily and then have Brandana just kind of take over the second game.
Yeah, in game two, personally, it felt like not only was Brandana performing better than he did game one, not that he did bad game one. He definitely was not one of the causes for them losing game one. It's just he couldn't get online fast enough. But Nebulon got rolling game two and certainly helped the snowball, especially with getting Brandana ahead. I think that same fight you were referring to before, Justin, he had also just killed me in the tri-bush by that tower still, and I feel like I wasn't respecting the lead he had at that point because I died with ult and heal available. So I was not expecting the burst from him at that point, and I got punished for it, and they started to run away with the game.
Yeah, I can. Brandana on that Jax pick started the team fight when we entered Champion Select and ended it when the Nexus fell. He just engaged constantly. It was so fun to watch. But that's game two. White Wolf, just such a commanding performance, like you already said. Game one. What do you think? Like, what was going through White Wolf's head? You think?
Well, I know that going through our heads was we were kind of just focusing real hard on objectives, trying to just what's the next step and so on, and just trying to keep our advantage rolling forward. And we were able to get a lot of much cleaner fights than we should have and ended the game with a considerable lead. But that was definitely in large part to just the entire teamwork aspect that we had going that game.
White Wolf's always had an incredible communication strength, no matter what roster is carrying the banner. Now, similar outcomes, but game three, man. Set three. Oh, I still don't have 100% of my energy back from that game one versus Blitzkrieg. Northern Storm versus Blitzkrieg. That was, correct me if I'm wrong. You had brought it up in pre-production. The longest game in LCUS history.
By a significant margin, too. Looking back on it, I believe the previous longest was 43 minutes. And this one, I have to go back and check. I off the top of my head, it's either 65 or 68 minutes. So you're looking at almost an entire game's worth of play extra from what was the longest game previously. The LCUS just hasn't seen a game go like this. And I think it was truly a war of attrition at that point. It's who can keep their focus and keep their eyes open at that point, following 4 different games.
It was just a rough one. What are y'all thoughts watching that? I mean, I could talk about what I've experienced, but what did y'all see?
So one of the things that we had talked about kind of highlighting that game was the matchup between Shaken Not Stirred and Washed Up Top Laner. And I thought it was really interesting how dominant Shaken Not Stirred was on the Tahm Kench into a Renekton, who should be an early game powerhouse, but all the trades were going the way of the Tahm Kench. And he was able to get to a point where he was so large that every team fight ended with, Tom versus whoever was left, and he's trying to take out 3 or 2 members that are left in the field, and that's where you kept seeing these even fights going on. Really, really interesting game.
One of my favorite parts about the Tahm Kench pick was at some point later in the game, I noticed he had picked up a BF sword. And a few minutes later, that BF sword turned into a Guardian Angel, and I just thought it was almost comical that a Tahm Kench is picking up a Guardian Angel as if he's going to die in the first place.
I think Shaken Not Stirred was giving him the full carry potential. He walked into that game thinking he had Exodia in his hand and was just ready to go.
I'd have to check, but I don't believe he picked up a Titanic Hydra, which I feel like would have been a better option to like carry a game, because with Tahm Kench you just get so much bonus health that the Titanic Hydra would just obliterate whoever is standing in front of you.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a misplay to get the GA instead of the Titanic Hydra.
Probably true. So the coin. What happened with the coin this time? I mean, I know I complained a lot about how it didn't seem that exciting, but at the end of it all, it was pretty exciting looking back. I mean, 66% right. That's pretty cool.
If you want to go a step further too, I mean, we're giving it 66% because it didn't predict the right outcome, but it still gave option 12 one win in its error there. So it was only off by one game really, and that's pretty interesting that in a league that's so balanced, especially this split, that a coin is able to kind of get pretty close to what you're looking at for the game ends.
Well, I know I would like to apologize to that hunk of metal. You showed your intelligence and your ability. Oh, Prophet Coin, please have mercy on us in the future and give us the best outcomes. Speaking of
the coin accepts your apology.
Praise be to the coin. If we're going to talk about League, this MOBA, Massive Battle Arena Online, let's talk about our one of our great sponsors, Nero. Nero, they take the Massive Battle Arena offline with Nero LARP. Nero LARP is a live-action roleplay that has chapters all over the United States. Visit NeroLARPOnline.com for more information. So, what's this? We really don't have a patch impact to talk about this week, but we did get some really cool questions that I'd love for you guys to hop into about the meta. So I'll just let y'all take over that. What's happening? What is this?
Yeah. So leading off, we have J-Dog asking just about the different draft styles. Like, how are you supposed to figure out what teams want to put priority on, and how much that changes week to week? And kind of personally, I feel like priority in this league is mostly contested picks that players on both teams have an overlapping pool, and they're both proficient on the champion, so that's a point of contention. And other priorities for pick and ban is generally whatever the teams feel the opposing team's best win conditions are, trying to either take those away or just kind of get rid of them by banning them out.
Just to kind of echo that point too, we've seen the meta for League does impact the meta in the LCUS. Champions in the past that have been really good late, where we do tend to focus our intentions is working to the late game and fighting for those major team fights. Anivia was one of the top mid laners for a very long time, and we saw that there's a lot of Anivia players here where that's a true comfort pick for them. So there was constantly a ban from the red side team focusing on the Anivia if anyone played it in the in the lobby. Towards the end of Split 3 and now into Split 4, we've seen the Anivia bans have basically gone by the wayside. Hohenheim was not willing to play it into Ace for the finals in Split 3, and first set here, option 12 against Phoenix. Anivia was played both games, but both teams were willing to let it go through, and I think that speaks to, the draft styles in the LCUS are mostly about comfort and what you feel comfortable playing into, and you need to work that out with your team. If the other player is comfortable on something, if you're willing to play into that, you let it through, knowing that they're probably going to pick it, and then you work on counter picks for it. We had quite a few questions here submitted by J-Dog, actually, so I'd like to hit on another one here. less put in question format, but he's asking, do teams focus in the LCUS on late game or early game comps, and what kind of success each version of the comp has had in the past? Soda, do you feel like giving J-Dog a leg up here?
So the picks for the teams are generally more whatever style they feel they can make work the best. And some teams seem to be running more one-track style things. Like Option 12 has done a lot of like a 1-3-1, 1-4 sort of thing, but they've also done a lot of team fight comps as well. As well as White Wolf Gaming, we've done a lot of team fight comps, but you've seen some other teams just try to run some more aggressive end the game quick sort of comps, like Northern Storm last split was running. So it's mostly teams' preference, it seems, as far as whatever picks they like and how well they fit together is what they're going to end up with a team.
Yeah, and I think, in the LCUS, there are players who are very capable and understand the game well enough to take an early game champion and use their advantage early on to punish in the lane and translate that into a lead. But for the most part, with lower elo players who aren't playing up to a professional level, you're seeing players take late game champions and just play safe enough in the lane to get to the late game and then play for a team fight. The number one example I can think of that is Darien, who we've touched on, has been willing to give up plenty of CS in the lane with a late game champion like a Malphite or a Maokai, and using that champion's engage in the late game to force a fight that wins the game for his team. Take the Lantern was so successful running something like that, and I think you'll see a lot more of that in the split, especially with the elo so well rounded out that teams are going to be looking to rely on their teammates and play for that big team fight.
Well, guys, thanks for that big insight. There's always these awesome questions that we hear our players asking, and just a shout out to J-Dog. 1, great performance last week. 2, keep with these questions, man. We love it. Thank you so much. Speaking of loving it, you know what I love? Our third sponsor. That's Foster Adventure. Foster Adventure enhances the lives of teens in care by funding social, athletic, and educational opportunities and items that give a sense of normacy to teens in care, promoting friendships, life skills, higher education, and hope in their future. Donate today. So, what can we be expecting? Your opinion. What's going to be the match of the week? This upcoming week. Soda, you first, please.
For our first match, we've got 9 Lives versus Northern Storm, and we had a general consensus that we all felt 9 Lives was going to be able to take this series 2-0, it seems. Win conditions I felt like 9 Lives had over Northern Storm was, I felt like Brandana, if he pops off again like he did in the second game against us, and they actually have sub in for Nebulon, which is kind of upsetting to see that Nebulon couldn't make the game, and he was a huge catalyst for their victory last weekend. But they do have another excellent jungler in Fatley returning to the LCUS. So I feel like if he can help get the ball rolling in that bot lane, they should be able to run away with the games.
Help. As someone that's playing on Northern Storm, I personally feel like I jumped out of the frying pan and into the fire. We already have enough to worry about with the opposing bot lane, and then the winningest jungler in LCUS history, Fat Lee, who won with Northern Storm and then made it to the finals with Northern Storm again. Just showing up to potentially dunk on us. I'm personally offended that he would consider to even do such a thing. So I would say 1v1 me at Baron Fat Lee, but you very well might beat me this weekend. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah,
Touching on another sub for it too, Shaken Zen is subbing in for your team Siga, Northern Storm, taking the place of Chaos 6. I think Shaken Zen does bring a lot to the team. He subbed in for Cowbell last split, I believe, and he's kind of been a spot jungle sub and a mid sub in the past too. He's a very capable player, and it's interesting that of course the jungle is the position where we need 2 subs in for this week.
I won't give away any insider information, but we've got some good stuff cooking. I think this will. I'm still, as someone that does the podcast and has casted before, I'm going to give it to non-lives, but don't count us out, folks. Don't count us out.
and the notable prediction here, kind of going against all of us, is the coin, after accepting your apology, has blessed you with the 2-0 victory win condition. The coin believes in you, Sig.
Blessed be the coin.
So that's all I gotta do is just pray to the coin to get the 2-0.
It's just a prediction.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. What Gale Force inaugural game this upcoming weekend versus Blitzkrieg, who I'm still recovering from. I tell you, if I was in Gale Force shoes, if I could give you some advice, keep Exia off Assassins. It made it incredibly difficult to do anything because the amount of pressure he generated across the map. If he gets an assassin, I'm gonna go. It's gonna be much closer. I'm giving it 1-1.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with the 1-1 prediction on this because we haven't seen Gale Force in action yet, so it's hard to judge where exactly they fall in line. So, just a quick look at the teams. There's a lot of power in the top lane and mid lane for both teams, so it's a very tough call, and I've got it marked down as a draw.
I went the same route here, giving it a 1-1. Gale Force hasn't played yet, but they're another one of those teams that has a lot of people that have played together for a long time, something that we saw with White Wolf and with Option 12. That sort of a thing early on in the season really helps a team out when they've played together for a long time, and I think you're going to see that affect them. By that same note, Blitzkrieg has already played a game in the LCUS together, and that's why I had to go 1-1. We don't know what to expect from Gale Force 100%. Blitzkrieg you saw play an incredibly long game, and then be able to not really pull it out against Northern Storm in that second game, and I think you can attribute some of that to just atrophy of attention. Just a 65-minute game will bring anyone down.
Yeah, and the coin on this one, with its magical prediction powers, believes that Gale Force is gonna come out of the gate swinging. It's gonna bring the storm and take down Blitzkrieg.
The final game in set 3 is between White Wolf Gaming and Option 12. I don't know if White Wolf has ever taken a game off of Option 12. I think they've always kind of not shown up for the matches as being someone who's been on Option 12. It seems like White Wolf just doesn't perform well into them. I'm not sure what causes that. If it's just, a fear of the number 1 or the number 2, but whatever it is, I hope White Wolf can get it squared away so we can have a good match here.
I don't think you'll have to worry about that. If White Wolf Gaming from game 1 of their last set shows up to play Option 12, they're going to win game 1. I will always give Option 12 the game 2 because they know how to come back. Thanks to the players on that team that know how to read, know how to correct misgivings from prior games and from the current game. I think this is going to be the match of the night. I think it's going to be a slugfest, and I'm so pumped.
Yeah, and I feel like we can kind of rewrite history here and take the matches because we've got Amaya coming back to the team. We've got our dream team back in the bot lane. But Amaya is coming back after taking the championship and knocking Option 12 out of playoffs last split. We've got Spicy Hot Meme in the jungle, who was heralded as the best jungler. We decided at the beginning of the split, we took our little vote, and we all kind of agreed that Spicy Hot Meme's the best jungler in the league right now, and he had great performances last split. So I feel like we've got enough things moving in the right direction that this is going to play out differently than splits prior.
And Spicy, I mean, we universally, noted as the best jungler. I think they're playing an option 12 who is honestly the worst jungler in the league, and myself. I think he's going to be able to bring a lot of pressure to the lanes that I won't be able to, and that's going to really affect the early game. Hopefully, option 12's late game prowess can kind of come through and help us get out of that hole. But Spicy, I mean, is the matchup I'm not looking forward to most.
Yeah, and if we look back again at last week, if White Wolf from game 1 shows up, you're not going to have anything to get late game.
Definitely, if it's 23-2, there's some holes you can't dig yourself out of.
Man, the passive aggressiveness in this commentary right now is just insane. I wanted to chime in, but you guys are just like, well, sir, if you could politely insert it into your bottom side, I would greatly appreciate it. God, that was timeless. Please do that again from now on.
The coin doesn't want to pick any fights and decided it's going to be a 1-1 weekend.
Oh, man.
The problem is after White Wolf doesn't make the playoffs, we won't get to have this passive aggressiveness going again, so I got to take my chance now.
You got to take your chance now, because what happens if you don't make playoffs?
It'll be my first time, actually. I've never missed the playoffs in the LCS.
I've never missed the playoffs as an ADC.
Fair.
I've been in attendance for all the playoffs. Matter of fact, I have 100% participation rate in all playoff matches. So yeah, I can be passive aggressive. Yeah, why not?
We've got a little stat that Ace has made it to every final, right?
It's true as far as I'm aware, yeah.
And so is Sig, right?
Also true.
Technically, yeah.
All right, I'll see you in the finals, Sig.
Oh, well, I'm so pumped for this upcoming week. We'll shout it out again, but this is upcoming week, Central Time, 5:30 Central Time. Join us for these 3 awesome sets. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be great. We have some of the best casters this split, and it is just so refreshing to hear them. We didn't shout out to them last time, so we'll go ahead and do that now. Great job casting, guys. Thank you for being the backbone of the LCUS. But let's take some questions. I want to start it out. Could we start a pool for players' deaths or whatever count during regular play of the split? Sure. We would love to do that. Would you want to run it? We are happy to include pretty much any kind of non-pornographic content that you want to make into this channel. But we need your help. Anything like this that is like stat intensive, we need someone to track it. So if you would be interested in that, please shoot Ace a message, shoot me a message, or our wonderful Commissioner Trufflesaurus, and let us know what you want to do, and let's see if we can figure out a way to make it happen. We've had some great player-made content in the past, and we would love to feature it
again. Moving on to the next question here, submitted by Regosaurus, the support for 9 Lives. He's asking who overperformed in week 1, either a player or a team, just who really jumped out to you. So, do you want to start us off?
I felt like one of the less noticeable ones was Greatbeard of Odin in your guys' matchup. He had a significant advantage early on in the first game and just kind of helped translate that into just pressure throughout the game, throughout the match, and victory for the first game. He did his fair share. And game 2, he actually started a decent deficit against Darien, and he did a very good job of closing that deficit very quickly in a matter of, I don't remember the timestamps of what I looked at, but it was about a 5-minute gap. He ended up being from down like 20-30 CS. He ended up being ahead a little bit of CS, and I think he was up 1 or 2 kills and assists. So he did a great job of closing that deficit, and again doing everything he could on that Sion pick to help bring that second win for you guys.
Soda, give us one more question. You pick one. Just pick one.
One of the ones that I like here was submitted by JDog again. It was, what is more surprising to see, Blitzkrieg or White Wolf dropping their second game coming off of their victory? Personally, I feel like it was more surprising to see us lose game 2 just in the fashion that we won game 1. So I thought it was just a bigger difference in performance as opposed to the Blitzkrieg versus Northern Storm matchup.
I want to disagree with you. Sitting in the seat with watching Blitzkrieg during pick and draft during that game 2, we really, if we were like, well, what do we do to stop this as a stopgap measure to take care of, you know, them, just holding us back that one step the whole time. And then when they didn't change anything but their mid lane, everything else was the same. We were able to adapt. I I didn't know what would happen because we couldn't beat that lineup the first time, so wasn't sure if we were going to get it the second time.
And Sig, I gotta disagree with you. I think it was White Wolf dropping that second game. If you win a game 23-2, there's no you've shown that you have the talent to win the second game, and to watch them come out kind of flat-footed and let Brandana and Nebulon walk all over them was, ridiculous to me. I don't know how you get a lead like that in game 1 and then come out so, muted in the second game. Whereas Blitzkrieg, you're coming off a 65-minute game. I can understand the effort that you put into winning a game like that really taking away from your performance in the second game. I don't think White Wolf had the same excuse. No,
Yes,
no offense to Soda.
Yes, Soda. Yeah. You know what you did.
To be fair, the victory was more on Nebulon than it was Brandana. Nebulon, because Brandana didn't have any significant advantages until 15-20 minutes into the game.
That's
over
fair.
me.
I think that might just be the change to the role. I'm just playing. Folks, thank you for joining us for a wonderful show this week.
Before we wrap up, I just want to touch up here on the, we didn't get a chance to talk about overperforming. I think, we talked about Great Beard of Odin, but there were 2 other players highlighted in the cast that we really should recognize. The first one being Lysimachus, who prefers to go by Lice. His scoreline after the first set is 25-0 and 26 against Von Hohenheim, who's considered to be the best mid laner in the LCUS. That's, a ridiculous coming out party for a player who's played, 3 splits previously. I can't even put in the words, like, his Anivia egg wasn't ever popped in the second game. You have a tool that works, kind of like a Zillion Revive or a GA where you get to come back, and he never even had to use it against the best mid laner with a huge scoreline like that. That's incredible.
I don't know if it's a coming out party as more of I've been here the whole time.
Yeah, I think, kind of, maybe that's the better way of putting it, is stop underestimating me.
Yeah, that totally, because I didn't see that coming.
No, and then Ashway, the support, again, scoreline after the first 2 games, 11-4 and 41. We're talking about why was option 12 so dominant in those games. The play of the top, mid, and support roles were huge reasons that we were able to eke out those wins.
I can get behind that. Anything else you want to add, Soda?
I definitely agree with those points of power for option 12. Definitely helping make the games go a lot smoother for them.
I think we're all on the same point there. Lice, keep them going, man. We're riding the hype train. Folks, thank you for joining us for a wonderful show tonight. Brought to you, of course, by all our great sponsors, but most importantly, you. Please check out all over our other content on Twitch, on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Join up our our great subreddit. You're what makes the world go round when it comes to the LCUS, and we are so appreciative of it. If you have questions, check out the Reddit page. Make sure you give us those Twitch Prime subs. Those are what allow us to create incredible graphics and content like we have right now. If there's nothing else you guys want to add, again, thank you for joining us, and join us next week, next Wednesday, when we talk about the league. Have a great evening.